Hey gang, welcome back for another episode of Mrs. Harlow's Quarantine Reads Summer Reading Edition, where I talk to you about what I've been reading while we're on summer break. So, today's quarantine read is The Deep by Rivers Solomon. A little bit about this book before I get into what it's really about. It is based on / inspired by a song by a group called Clipping. The lead singer rapper on that is David Diggs, who also narrates the audiobook. I did listen to this as an Audible digital audiobook, and it was the fact that David Diggs read it that really pulled me in and made me decide to finally give it a listen. If you don't know who David is, he played Lafayette and Thomas Jefferson in the original Broadway production of Hamilton. So that's who that is. He's a delight, and I love him, and he did a really good job reading this book. So a little bit about its inspiration. The song is called The Deep, just like the book, and the song is kind of talks about what if it's really hard to talk about. So this is a fact that happened, that when slaves were being brought to America, they were often sent overboard if they were ill or pregnant, and they would push them overboard and leave them to drown. And the song and the book both explore, what if those babies were born? What if they became something more? And so the book is about, mermaid is a really, really loose term. I only use it because it gives you kind of the right image of half human, half fish. Yetu is a mermaid, and she is what's called the historian for her people. And she basically, that means that she remembers their entire history of their entire people. And only she remembers, because the pain of the past is too much for the entire people to bear. So once a year, they come together, and the historian shares the memories. And it's the way that they keep grounded in who they are. But the problem is that Yetu, like, the historian is chosen. It's not Yetu's choice. She is, like, it's beyond her control. And she doesn't really want to be the historian. She doesn't want her life to be taken from her in this way. And so she runs away. And on that journey, she learns a lot of things. And through the memories and through the lack of memories, the book really delves into what it means to, like, what is identity for a whole group of people, and how do you own that, and how do you move forward knowing the pain of your past, but with hope for your future. It is a beautiful book. It is a very complex story. I think the audiobook is wonderful. I think I would benefit from also reading a hard copy of it. Just because there were some moments I got lost. There's some very surreal moments in the text where I don't know if I'm in a memory or if I'm in the present, or maybe even in the future. And I think that is intentional. You're supposed to be unsure because of the way memory and the present sort of blend and bleed together. But I think it would be a little more concrete even if I had a chance to read a paper copy. So that's on my to-do list, because I did really love this book. David did a wonderful job reading it. Even though, like, I saw some reviewers that were wigged out by the fact that he is male but Yetu is female, and that disparity in their voices. But that never occurred to me. It never bothered me. It made sense. So, yeah. This was also originally I believe it was a Tor.com novella. And again, I keep reading them because they keep being amazing. And Rivers Solomon has a few works out that have all been award nominated like heavily lauded, very, very well received, very, very talented writer. This book makes you think. Even if you're just trying to read it as topically as possible and you're like, this is a cool fantasy book about mermaids, it doesn't let you do that. It confronts you. It makes you think about where Yetu and her people come from and what that means and how they can accept that without letting it be a purely defining factor, and how they can be empowered by and despite it. And I think the title really fits because not only are we in the deep of the ocean, very, very deep, where it's almost black down in the bottom, but the book in itself cuts deep. It forces you to look at things in a different way. And it also like dives deep into your mind. Like it's just everything about it is deep. Everything. So yeah, it's heavy. It's a very heavy book, and it's a very heavy subject matter, and it's about not just the identity of Yetu and of Yetu's people, but of Yetu's identity as the historian and what that means. And it just, the more I think about it, the more there is to say. For a novella, there's a lot happening on these pages. There's a lot happening in every line. And that's where real artistry in the writing comes in, when lines are doing more than one thing at a time. So I very much recommend it. Again, I don't think like it looks like light reading, and it's not. So just be prepared, because there are moments that are like there's moments that are borderline on like body horror. There's some descriptions that it makes you very uncomfortable, and it should. That's what it's trying to do. So yeah, that's what I have to say about The Deep by River Solomon. I do recommend it, but just be prepared. It's not your typical light summer read. If you haven't already, leave me some comments. Let me know what you're up to. Let me know what you're reading. And I'll be back again soon with another quarantine read.